Welcome to Dream Team Football, where we cultivate the beautiful game in a retro game universe. In 2019, former United forward Eric Cantona read a poem at the UEFA President's Award. When I first heard it, I was baffled. What did it mean? Was it a joke? Obviously, it was some sort of critique. But why turn it into a poem or into something that resembled comedy? And who exactly was it addressed to? Now I've had this poem in my head for almost 3 years. His words has almost haunted me when a story from the dark side of football emerges, which it often does these days. The first line, as flies to wanton boys, we are to the gods, they'll kill us for the sport. It's a Shakespeare quote, but he may as well just have said, you're all a bunch of corrupt, greedy assholes, and you don't care about all the misery, pain, and even deaths you create in your search for money and prestige. And you use football to cover it all up, and football gladly cleans up the crime scene. There are quite a few examples of footballers being caught up with prostitutes, and some of the world's richest footballers promote gambling like they don't have enough money already. I'm not against gambling as such, but the aggressive advertisement of gambling companies has been linked to gambling addiction, and gambling companies are notoriously involved in tax speculation. And talking of tax speculation, the long list of football players who have committed actual tax fraud includes the two most famous footballers on the planet, Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. They have both been fined and received suspended prison sentences for their crimes. Isn't that alarmingly outrageous? Well, not if we compare their actions with clubs and football associations. If anything, their crimes make tax avoidance and gambling promotion seem like innocent little pranks. The World Cup in Qatar helps promote a dictatorship, where it's practically legal to rape women, slavery is widely used, and homosexuality is punished a lot worse than tax fraud in Europe. At least if it's committed by a famous football player. Moreover, building these huge stadiums just to bulldoze them after the tournament is over is an absurd joke to global warming and the migrant workers who died while building them. Multiply everything I said about Qatar with 100 and you get something like Saudi Arabia, a notoriously murdering and torturing regime, perhaps the evilest government on the planet. But that doesn't really matter if you want to finance a football club like Newcastle, finance football tournaments in return for lucrative advertisement, or even have whole tournaments like the Spanish Super Cup move to the bloody soil of Saudi Arabia. We could go on with the moral habitus of modern football, but let's go to the next line. Here Cantona says, soon the science will not only be able to slow down the aging of the cells, soon the science will fix the cells to the state, and so we become eternal. I think that line is quite interesting. There are many indications that doping is relatively widespread in football, and possibly players are being doped without knowing about it. Arsene Wenger has for instance said, there are clubs who dope players without players knowing. The club might say that they were being injected with vitamins, and the players would not know if it was something different. So I wonder what desperate clubs will dare to do to players in the future when new biotechnologies become available. Then Cantona continues. Only accidents, crimes, wars will still kill us, but unfortunately crimes and wars will multiply. Well, I don't have so much to say about that one, but we could make the argument that sport is being used by nations as a sort of Cold War battlefield, and here is a guy who has experienced football from the inside. The last sentence goes,
I love football. Thank you.
And so do I. I've always loved this game. In its essence, I think football is the most democratic sport there is. You don't need expensive equipment to play, so compared to most other sports, it matters relatively little if you are rich or poor. It can be played in the city, on the streets, under fluorescent light, on suburban grass, or on dusty desert sand in developing countries. You don't have to be tall, strong, fast. Sure, those things may help, but there's so many ways to be a great footballer that it's up to you to find your way. Through football, I've met people from other continents, celebrated victories in mud and rain with friends, and gone absolutely bananas on stadiums in the weekend, like a pressure valve going off after struggling to get through my dead-end job during the week. Football is magic, and the more I think about Cantona's words, the more magic his poems seem. Had he spoken his critique in a more orthodox way, it would have been easier to take the microphone away from him or cut to some Fly Emirates commercials. Also, playing the court jester has always had an influential role in society for the critique of the ruling class. It may well have been the audience who laughed that night when Cantona gave his speech. But after the European Super League, the Spanish Super Cup, held on Saudi Arabian soil, the Saudi National Fund taking over Newcastle, etc., I'm just wondering who is laughing now. If you liked this video, you could maybe consider watching the first ever video I created. Here I put together a Scandinavian XI with the best players from Norway, Sweden, and the country I'm from myself, Denmark. Thank you for watching. See you later.